Hello Stoners and welcome back to the 4th episode of our advanced coaching series. My name is Christoph and today I have an awesome video for you guys where I'll teach you how to outplay anyone in a 1v1 scenario. Our Challenger analysts here at ProGuides have created this very detailed guide that will go over everything you need to know about this topic. If you decide to soak in all this information and implement it into your gameplay, I can guarantee you guys that you'll see massive improvements to your rank by the end of the season. Also, if you find our videos useful and you want to take your gameplay to the next level, then take a look at ProGuides.com with the description link below to see massive improvements to your rank. Alright, now without further ado, let's jump right in. Counterplay is one of the most diverse topics in League of Legends. The word is constantly thrown around, but what exactly is it? Counterplay is when you make an opposing and/or positive action from a position of defense. Simply put, it's when you use a specific strategy to beat or counter your opponent's strategy. Here are a few simple examples. If you're playing against a Zed and he uses his death mark on you, then you can use your stopwatch or Zhonya's hourglass to counter his proactive play. In another example, if you're playing against a Malphite and he dashes to you with his ultimate, you can quickly use your flash to dodge this ability and win the trade. These two examples are some of the most basic types of counterplay in the game. However, learning to outplay in every scenario isn't as blatant or obvious as what we've just shown you. This video will be broken down into 3 chapters. 1. The types of counterplay. 2. The steps to counterplay, which will include outplay potential. And 3. The mentality and execution of counterplay. Each chapter is essential for learning how to outplay your opponents with ease, so let's get right into it. Chapter 1 is going to be the longest chapter and it covers the types of counterplay. There are 6 different types of counterplay in League of Legends. The first is the most obvious, which is dodging spells or abilities. If you are facing a Xerath in the mid lane, you can sidestep his abilities. When playing against an Ezreal in lane, you would want to position yourself behind the minions in order to preemptively dodge Qs, which would lessen his poke damage output. Number 2 is interactive counterplay and timing. This is where you'll use a specific ability to interact and counter another champion's ability. If Karthus is channeling his ultimate, you can use a source of crowd control to cancel his channel. If Gangplank is about to pop his barrel, you can auto-attack the barrel before him to prevent the detonation. Next up is itemization and counterbuilding. There are 2 categories of itemization: defensive or offensive. An example of defensive counterbuilding would be purchasing a Quicksilver Sash when you are against a Thresh. An offensive example would be purchasing a Last Whisper against a Cho'Gath with 3 armor items. Number 4 is counterpicking. Counterpicking is when you're taking advantage of specific weaknesses that your opponent's champion has by playing a champion who can capitalize off of their weak points. For example, you could pick a Morgana as a counterpick to Leona in the bottom lane to prevent her CC. Pre-game setups such as summoner spells and runes is number 5 on our list. This is like when you opt to take Cleanse against a champion like Sejuani or go Aftershock on Lux when you're facing a Nautilus support. And lastly, at number 6, we have macro play. If the enemy is playing a siege composition and are grouping mid constantly, you can choose someone like Shen or TF to split push and take advantage of the enemy team's game plan. Knowing all 6 types of counterplay and keeping them in the back of your head at all times is crucial to becoming a better player. To give you a better idea of how each type of counterplay is used, let's break down the best outplay of all time. So as you can see right off the bat, Faker is utilizing counterplay type 6, where he's split pushing the mid lane by himself. Faker understands that the enemy team must answer to his own team's siege in the bot lane, so he takes advantage of the enemy's weak spots on the map. However, Faker overstays and is being punished by Ryu, the enemy Zed. At this point, Faker is taking a huge amount of damage and has now been slowed by Ryu's Blade of the Ruined King. This means that Faker cannot escape and is forced to use his death mark while being at 25% HP. Ryu answers with his own death mark here, and Faker knows that he will die unless he plays this fight perfectly. Faker uses counterplay type 1, and reactivates his death mark to return to his initial shadow to dodge Ryu's Shadow Slash. Faker then uses counterplay type 3 and uses his Quicksilver Sash to remove Ryu's death mark. If Faker had not built a QSS this game, he would not have survived this initial interaction. Faker then hits Ryu with both his Shuriken and his Shadow Shuriken and then executes a perfect auto attack. Immediately after, Faker then again uses Counterplay type 1 and preemptively flashes to the side to dodge Ryu's shuriken combo. In addition to this, Faker also uses Counterplay type 5 by burning his ignite. Back in Season 3 when this play was made, there was a mastery skill which granted you bonus AD if you had your ignite on cooldown. This bonus AD actually played a significant role in Faker's flawless execution. At this point, both players are 1 to 2 auto attacks away from dying. Ryu, fully knowing this, flashes aggressively towards Faker and lands his auto attack. Faker then uses Counterplay type 1 and prevents a second auto attack by using his Living Shadow, followed by a Shadow Slash to pull off the best outplay of all time. Knowing exactly when to use which type of counterplay is what separates the good players from the great ones. However, this is only the first topic in our 3 chapters for outplays. You need to know all 3 topics in order to outplay like Faker does, so let's move on to the next chapter. Chapter 2: The Steps to Counterplay and Outplay Potential. Each enemy champion has a few things you need to worry about when it comes to outplay potential. There are summoner spells, runes, abilities, and items. Each champion has 2 summoner spells, and 99% of the time, one of them will be flash. As of patch 9.12, every champion has a keystone rune, followed by 5 secondary runes. On top of that, they all have their 5 abilities, which are their 3 main skills, their ultimate, and their passive. When you start breaking down these abilities, you should keep in mind how much damage the enemy can potentially inflict, how mobile they are, how much CC is in their kit, which abilities are skill shots, which abilities are targeted, what their cooldowns are, and which skills can provide survivability. And finally, you should also worry about their items. Do they have Azanyas? How much offensive and defensive stats do they have? Which active items should you consider as a threat? For example, let's say you're versing Ahri in the mid lane as LeBlanc and both of you hit level 3. Ahri is a skill shot reliant champion who has high burst damage and sustain. When it comes to LeBlanc versus Ahri, you have to be careful when to use your Q plus W combo as LeBlanc because a good Ahri player will charm you in the middle of your dash. So, threat number 1 would be Ahri's spells. Getting hit by her charm will mean that she can combo all of her other abilities and pretty much auto-win the lane. In addition to that, you should worry about Ahri's Q. If you get hit by too many of these while you're CSing, then Ahri can look for a quick E-flash combo to secure an easy kill on you. Threat number 2 would be Ahri's runes. Electrocute procs once Ahri lands 3 abilities or auto attacks on you, and it can chunk a significant portion of your health. On top of that, Ahri is also likely taking Ravenous Hunter and Biscuits, which means that you're unfavored in taking multiple trades. Threat number 3 is Ahri's summoner spells. Her Ignite and Flash can turn the tide of a losing fight if she utilizes them well. For example, she can flash and ignite aggressively with her E to catch you off guard and kill you. And finally, threat number 4 is her items. Ahri can either start Doran's Ring or Corrupting Potion. If she starts Corrupting Potion, then it means that she's willing to fight often and trade her sustain for yours. If she starts Doran's Ring, then it means she's looking to use her increased burst to take short, quick trades. Knowing all these threats in any matchup will give you a huge edge over your opponent. As long as you're constantly thinking of what the opponent's threats are, then you should be able to come up with a solution. The goal of obtaining this knowledge is to know exactly what your opponent is going to do before they even do it. However, it's more important that you know the ins and outs of your own champion before you even start to think of what your opponent can do. Keep a note that the enemy is thinking exactly the same way you are and keeping track of all your threats as well. This means that you have to be more creative when it comes to fighting them and try to one-up them with your game plans. There are 2 sides to every matchup, so try your best to play to your strengths while avoiding your weaknesses. The last and final topic is mentality and execution. Whenever you're looking to outplay your opponent, you have to go into the fight believing that you can win. If you're dueling the enemy laner and have anxious thoughts that you're going to lose, then you've already lost the fight before it's begun. Confidence is the key when it comes to outplaying someone. You have to believe that you're better than them. Faker didn't become the god of League of Legends by playing scared and passively. He constantly puts himself in situations where he's forced to outplay and doesn't back down from a fair fight. Here are some tips to help you increase your confidence in game. 1. Stay centered at all times. No matter what happens in the game, you have to stay grounded and make the best of every situation. In the end, if you do get behind, you can't change the fact that you're 0-3 and got camped during the laning phase. The only thing that matters is yourself and your mentality. 2nd, don't give up. Stop typing GGFF15. The game is never over until the enemy team takes down your Nexus, so put in your best effort every time you enter the Rift. Number 3, control your emotions after a loss. Most players become confident after they win, but they often feel the opposite when they lose. Think of losing as an opportunity to become better rather than just a sad disappointment. If you feel too frustrated, go take a small break from League of Legends and work out, take a shower, or even have a quick snack. And tip number 4, stop having so much doubt. The only thing you should be doubting is your limits and not your potential. Keep trying no matter what happens and keep believing that you can win. On a final note, there is one main takeaway that you should learn from this video. Outplaying and becoming a better player takes 2 skills. The first is to study the game so that you can learn the ins and outs of specific matchups. The second is outside the game and is completely your mentality and mindset. It takes time and, most importantly, patience to master these 2 skills, so keep moving forward and you'll eventually get over this hurdle. That's it for our 4th episode of our advanced coaching series. We covered 3 chapters on how to outplay your opponents every single game. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, then please let us know in the comments down below. Also, if you love this video, then like, comment, and subscribe to our channel to be notified for our next one. Also, make sure to check out ProGuides.com for more content like this, and watch our 3 previous advanced coaching videos, which will be linked in the description. That's all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck in your next few games, and we'll see you on the Rift.